A very warm welcome to Daily Dispatch powered by HSBC. I'm Priya Shedin. Joining me on this conversation is Vinay Bansal from Inflection Point Ventures. And we also have Anish Basu Roy, who's the co-founder at TagZ Foods. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us today. The topic of discussion today is sustainability, building a sustainable future. And both these companies have somehow been responsible in contributing to the sustainability space. With TagZ Foods, we've seen the kind of investments that the company has made when it comes to sustainable packaging for their products. And when it comes to Inflection Point Ventures, the company has been really putting their money into companies that have sustainability as the part of their core business practices. So let's begin with you, Anish. As a company with sustainability at the core of your business processes, tell us a little bit about your journey. What does it really mean to be sustainable and to be contributing to the overall sustainability factor?
So as I was saying, I think sustainability no longer can afford to be just a trend, right? I think we don't have a choice anymore, very clearly. And this is a fact that possibly we were aware of right from the time, when the brand was conceptualized, in our minds. Obviously, we speak to a very urban Gen Z kind of a audience, right? And I think, as a brand, we owe it to them that we leave the planet in a better shape than what we inherited it in. And hence, right from day one, what was very evident to us is that, we wanted to make sure that we deploy practices which are not just best in class, but possibly as futuristic as possible as well, in terms of not just our product design, but packaging as well. Very early in the day, as a brand, we decided that we will always be plastic neutral, right? Which we felt was the next best thing that we could have possibly done. As against, using biodegradable packaging. Now, biodegradable packaging as a technology has evolved considerably, but then even today for a bunch of product factors, form factors, it doesn't necessarily work or offer the same kind of shelf life. So right from day one, we were plastic neutral. And I think only with our, chips, today we use primarily, plastic-based packaging, and we recycle the same amount of plastic that we generate. But then we've consciously moved away from that, into, reusable canisters. We moved into cardboard canisters. With our other product factors, such as chocolates that we've launched, we use a lot of handcrafted wooden boxes, to churn out the primary packaging for the product. So I think as long as there is awareness, in the company, as long as there is awareness to do better on this angle, and it is part of the brand mission, a lot of these things, in my view, are possible.
Absolutely. When I coming to you, how important is it for an investor out there to go out and look for companies that have sustainability at the core of their business processes? Is this something that's on your criteria or checklist when you assess companies out there?
Sure. See, as an investor, where we go after is what are consumers wanting, or society at large. So if today's Gen Z is conscious about sustainability, conscious about recycling stuff. Their schools are teaching, their colleges are teaching and preaching, and that is, let's say, at the top of their mind. Then they will create that demand for sustainable products. And if that demand is there and somebody is serving that demand, the great business is built, right? So as an investor, while we will have a preference towards businesses who are sustainable, we will want to promote them. But I think the real test really comes in where we are as a society. And if we can educate them and can help them, go after products that are sustainably built or sustainably manufactured, right? So I think that's an important factor from our perspective.
Right. Thanks for that. Coming back to you, Anish, sustainability comes with a cost, and a lot of companies don't want to do these reusable packaging and a lot of these other aspects because costs really pile up. It's not so, cost effective to go for a reusable packaging. It may cost a little bit higher than going for a regular plastic or regular wrap out there. So taking into account the cost perspective, do you think that it's fair to pass on these costs to the consumer, or as a company, would you be bearing these costs when it comes to packaging and overall look and feel?
So I think Vinay somewhere alluded to it, right? There needs to be inherently demand from the consumer side okay, and the willingness to pay, for these kind of solutions at the end of the day. Now, I will answer to your question maybe in two parts. Today, for example, if you look at, let's say, a brand like Impossible Burgers, right? Today, they are available in thousands of stores across, US. And, they've kind of disrupted the whole meat-based burger patty business, right? With their plant-based, plant meat-based burgers. I think the success of that product, not just lay in the fact that they were giving an alternative to, meat-based protein, but also their success lay in the fact that they played a huge and a pivotal role in educating the American consumer about the sustainability element in their manufacturing processes as well. The moment you eliminate a lot of cattle feed, there is a massive amount of sustainability, which is kind of kicking in inherently, right? So they did two things, right? I think one, yes, they were catering to a certain consumer demand, which was for non-meat-based, protein. But at the same time, they played a huge role in elevating that consumer awareness. And of course, the American population had the willingness and the wherewithal to pay for a product like this as well, right? A lot of times, costs come down with scale inherently, right? And the moment you're able to attain a certain amount of scale, you should be able to bring down those costs. Now, let's come back to India, right? Everybody talks about India and Bharat, right? I think sustainable packaging, sustainable products, for Bharat today are a little difficult to do, because I think the value consciousness there is massive, right? There, the products that are being sold today are extremely low on gross margin even today. So I am not very sure if there is commercial viability possible. However, I think products that are being sold to the Indian consumer, not the Bharat consumer, which is the metro and the tier one, the top 30, 40 million households in the country, definitely have the wherewithal and the willingness to pay for offerings like these, right? Obviously, the cost cannot be significantly disproportionate, right? Commercial viability still needs to exist. But I think that the time and the day has already come where the top 30, 40 million households in the country today have the willingness to pay for better quality. And better quality includes sustainability and eco-friendliness in a lot of ways. I think consumer choices are being driven to a very large extent amongst these 30, 40 million households already on the basis of whether you're planet friendly or sustainable.
Absolutely. Vinay, tell us about the businesses that you've invested in, which have sustainability at the core of their business processes, and how you see their growth shaping up when you compare it to other companies in your portfolio. Is it comparable? Is there any distinct trend that you see in terms of overall growth?
Sure. Sustainability, to my mind, has multiple facets to it, right? So when we invested in Blue Smart, which is sustainable taxi in a 100% electric vehicle fleet, the idea was that, yes, here people are willing to pay for that sustainability. I may not buy an EV car 3 years back. Today, I'm willing to. But to be able to at least do my trips in an EV sustainable way, absolutely, and that's how we did Blue Smart. Then and the business has been doing well. I personally use Blue Smart very often, and very, very amazed by the quality of my ride and the quality of the work. Second, then we invested in TagZ. TagZ provides electric chargers for electric vehicles. Again, the growth has been amazing. They're almost growing 100% month on month. Or if not 100, maybe between 150 to 100% month on month, which means that, yes, in this segment, the consumer is willing and wanting to get into sustainable. Many of us would want our next vehicle to be electric, for example, right? Then, we have been looking at businesses of reducing waste or recycling waste. Ishitwa, which makes machines where all the plastic can be recycled very, very beautifully by using an AI machine and camera vision. That business has been doing well, and we've looked at similar few other businesses. Now, businesses where we haven't really done as well, and where we looked at sustainability, tried it, but hasn't really worked. We invested in Milk Basket. They were right off the back, their packaging used to be recyclable. They would actually come and collect the delivery bags next day morning. You will just take today's bag in, you will put yesterday's bag back, they will go take it back, recycle, and that bag comes back next day. But with Corona, that recycling became difficult, and that bag costed 5-10 rupees, and therefore consumers were not willing to pay for that bag. And today the business is somewhere in between the two types of packaging, where it's largely recycled or not fully recycled. It has now brought a little bit of plastic in it. And then we have seen some businesses where we tried to move, but consumers were not willing to pay for that recycled packaging. It came back. And last, what we did is we make it optional. Some places where consumers were willing to pay, we said, okay, recyclable packaging. Where they were not willing to pay, normal packaging, right? And that business became very small. So yeah, I think it's aligning to the aspirations of the consumer, where in which category where they're willing to pay, you align it, and then take it forward. But I think the change is happening.
Right. Coming to Anish, tell us what's the way forward for TagZ Foods. What kind of roadmap have you charted out for the company going forward?
So, as a brand, there are a few things that we stand for, right? Obviously, our most goal, number one, is to make sure that we are delivering extremely premium and high quality snacking experiences. We're trying to craft a brand with a very urban Gen Z kind of a positioning. But at the core of our product philosophy, essentially what we swear by at all points in time is that we want to be doing products that are innovative, truly innovative in terms of, our investments in food technology, to craft innovative products. For example, we were the first brand in the country to launch something called as popped potato chips, right? And popping in itself is a technology which is new to India. We're the first brand to manufacture this product 100% in India. With our dips, we kind of disrupted the whole space, by offering our dips at price points, without any artificial colors and preservatives, and with adequate shelf life as well, right? Again, food technology ended up playing a very large role there. With our chocolates, we've kind of innovated in that space by being the first brand to offer dark chocolate cigars, to the consumer. We are launching cookies. So, we are basically a multi-category, snacking experience company that we're building. But while doing so, while innovating on the product factor, while remaining very, very taste first, I think one of the first few things that we focus on is that, we stay away from doing products which inherently will take us in a direction, which takes us away from our pledge of being a sustainable snacking brand, right? So there are times where, there are product factors, product categories we've rejected simply because we know that, this product category will potentially only take us in a direction where we'll possibly be doing a lot more plastic than otherwise we possibly would have done, right? So directionally, I think at every point in time, the entire team is focused on making sure that we are making choices as much as possible within the boundaries of commercial viability, making sure that sustainability is the way to proceed. As I said, we are already a plastic neutral brand. We intend to continue to remain that way, for a long time to come. And maybe in our product development roadmap, if you look at it, we accelerate a lot of such packaging factors well ahead in our journey, in spite of being a very, very, very young brand. So I think those are some of the things that we are possibly focused on. As we grow, obviously, we would love to get to a stage where we are able to promote a lot of other bodies, a lot of other communities, right? Potentially a lot of other packaging research companies, right? We would love to be able to sponsor, we would love to be able to promote and engage with them a lot more deeply, so that, this entire ecosystem can become a lot more robust, right? So for example, I think this is something which is already happening in the US, right? Today, if you look at the size of the ESG funds, all of them put together in the US, it's already a $2 to $3 trillion fund size, right? A lot of this will essentially go into investing into companies which are possibly going to be doing cutting edge research on, packaging technologies, right? We would like to possibly partner and, play our own role on this journey as well.
Right. Thanks for that, Anish. Finally, coming to you, Vinay, what's the roadmap for IPV? Any investments in the pipeline, specifically in the sustainability space? And are you going to be, looking at more such deals in the coming years?
Yeah, we'll continue to remain focused, and that's what we have done in the last 1 to 2 years as well, right? I believe cycling is better than to take a car to office, right? So yeah, absolutely we'll remain focused, especially around I would say sustainable agriculture, air pollution, water. I think these are important pieces as well. And if there are great innovations or great products, great founders coming in these areas, we're happy to continue to look at them.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure speaking to the two of you. Thanks for your time.